Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, at 6 p.m. in the meeting room at the Town Hall on Peck Street, Seacon. Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 20F requires any person recording must notify chairman at the beginning of the meeting. Anybody? Seeing nobody, all Board of Selectmen meetings are recorded via audio and video. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. First, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can somebody read the board and committee openings, please?
Madam Chair, volunteers are needed on the following: Board of Registrars, 1 Board of Selectmen appointment; Capital Improvement Committee, 3 Board of Selectmen appointment, 2 moderator; Commission on Disability, 5 to 13 Board of Selectmen; Cultural Council, 1 Board of Selectmen; Economic Development Committee, 5 Board of Selectmen; Energy Committee, 4 Board of Selectmen; Historical Commission, 2 Board of Selectmen; Parks and Recreation, 1 Board of Selectmen; Recycling Committee, 2 Board of Selectmen appointments; and Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 alternate.
Thank you very much. Priority matters. Consider the appointment of Jason Roya as alternate electrical inspector. I have a letter here from Mr. Mello, who's our building commissioner. We asked to appoint Jason Roya as an alternate electrical inspector. He's currently an alternate electrical inspector in the city of Fall River, as well as an alternate electrical inspector in Swansea. The need for an alternate inspector is to cover for upcoming time off for a permanent wire inspector. Mr. Royer is a self-employed electrical contractor for the past 20 years and holds several licenses, certifications in 4 states. Master's Journey, MA Master's Journey, MA Journeyman VT, so that must be Vermont, Rhode Island Masters, and Journeyman New Hampshire. Excellent. Sir, I'm assuming that's you.
Yes.
In the company of Mr. Medeiros. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Medeiros, are you here to say anything or no?
I'm also welcome.
So, okay. Mr. Kadim?
So, Madam Chairwoman, I support the recommendation of Commissioner Mello.
So moved. Are you a motion to read?
Yes.
Read it.
Move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Jason Roy to the position of alternate electrical inspector, subject to and conditioned upon a successful query check and completion of all pre-employment paperwork.
Second.
Any questions for anybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. What's the matter?
I told them about you.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. It's all the truth. Priority matters B, consider accepting the donation in the amount of $300 from Harbor Freight for the fire department. Chief?
Madam Chair, Select Board, Mr. Kadim. Come before you tonight to accept this donation from Harbor Freight. It was identified by one of my newer employees, Austin Pedente. He's a aviation mechanic for the Army National Guard. He works on helicopters. He wants to take over the mechanical at the fire station. So he had gone through and did an assessment on our mechanics bay. Requested that we start revamping that area. Took the initiative, went down to Harbor Freight, solicited some donations, or if they wanted to do anything in Harbor Freight, was gracious enough to start that project with $300 gift certificate. So commend him and commend Harbor Freight. Just want to say thank you.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to accept the donation of a $300 gift card from Harbor Freight to the Seacon Fire Department.
Second.
Any questions for anybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Madam Chair, if I have a moment, I just want to remind everybody on the public forum, we are in a very dangerous season right now regarding the wildfire. I have imposed a town-wide ban on any open flames and open burning. And remind everybody to use flames with caution and care. It's very, very dangerous right now. We've had a slew of fires this weekend, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. So in the public forum, I just wanted to advise everybody that there is that town-wide ban on open flames. So if we could just continue to pump that information out to everybody. I know we are on social medias. but just use extreme caution for the next week or two until we have a break in the weather. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Community speaks. Anybody in the audience from the community would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on. General business license hearing. Consider the request for a change of manager for Motorsports Nation located at 3-5 Progress Street. Scott Anthony to be manager. Step up. You're Mr. Yeah. I lost my spot. Mr. Anthony, hello.
Hi.
I saw you when I came in. Okay, do we have any questions?
I don't have anything.
Can I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the request for a change of manager for Motorsports Nation located at 3-5 Progress Street, Scott Anthony to be manager.
Second?
Any questions from anyone? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you for coming in, sir.
Do you need this whole, like, the only license or anything? I'll take it just in case.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, next we have license hearing. Consider the request for a change of manager and officers, directors for the American Legion, 351 Fall River Avenue, Seekonk, Michael Armitage to be manager. Step right up. Your name, sir?
Michael Armington.
You're Mr.
I'm
Armitage, right?
Armington.
Oh, I'm sorry, Armington. And you are, sir?
Hi, good evening, Mike Levinson. I'm the attorney representing the applicant offices here in Seekonk, Massachusetts at Bracey Levinson LLC. The application before you is to be going into mea culpa. The Legion has different offices and directors, elected every year, and we want to clean up the records to make sure it's clear that you guys know who the directors and officers are, and the NBCC knows it as well. Plus, Mr. Armington is now going to become the manager director for the license as well.
Okay. Mr. Kadim, we don't need anything else, right? This should be all together, everything that we need. Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve a change of manager and officers and directors for the American Legion, 351 Fall River Avenue, Seekonk, Massachusetts, Michael Armington to be manager.
Second?
Do you have any further questions, seeing as I got a motion in a second? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to open up a public hearing to consider the proposal and adoption of the order to lay out the roadway, Palmer River Road within the Jacob Hill Estate subdivision in accordance with the as-built plan and legal description continued from October 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, unanimous. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for or against the Palmer River Road layout of the roadway? Anybody want to say anything? Okay, seeing none. I'll just take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions? No, seeing none. All in favor, close?
Aye.
Unanimous? Are we gonna consider the proposal on adoption? I am going to say that, should we do a motion to definitely postpone?
It's up to the board.
Yes.
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 Yeah, given the
I
information.
make a motion to indefinitely postpone the layout of Palmer River Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the tax classification hearing. Just can you say your names out loud for the record with our new record keeper and minutes taker? She doesn't always recognize people's voices. Thanks.
My name is Lydia Cadero, Town Assessor.
Nelson Almeida, Board of Assessors.
Is that?
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So the Board of Assessors consists of Nelson Almeida, sitting beside me, as our chairperson, Joyce Solomon, my vice chair, Janet Parker, my clerk, Lydia, myself, and also the Board of Selectmen, Michelle Hines as chairperson, Justin Sullivan, vice chairperson, Christopher Zora, clerk, Pamela Posey, member, Michael Healy, member, Sean Kadim, our town administrator, and Jennifer Argo, our director of finance. The introduction, this classification act requires municipalities to classify real property into one of four classes according to use: residential, open space, commercial, and industrial. The purpose of this classification hearing is for the select board to determine the percentage share of the tax levy that each class will pay. The residential factor is used by the assessors to determine the tax levy paid by each class of property and calculating the tax rate. In this presentation, the Board of Assessors will provide information and data relevant to making such determination. Why do we change assessed values? Under the guidelines of the Department of Revenue and the Mass General laws on the Chapter 59, we are required to assess properties at 100% full and fair cash market value. What does that mean? Our assessed values have to reflect the market. Example, what the properties are selling for. Most importantly, I'd like the board and also the taxpayers to know the Department of Revenue reviews and approves our values annually, completing a full audit for certification every 5 years. If our values are not market value, they are not approved. In FY25, the total residential values increased by 6.1% from last year. FY25 commercial industrial values increased by 0.3%. The maximum levy for this year increased by 3.6%. And the commercial and residential and personal property rates goes as follows. Residential 12.35, commercial 26.66, personal property 26.59. And over to your left, to your right far side, you'll see new growth. And new growth is an increase in assessed value over the prior year because of new construction or physical improvements to a property. New growth also includes parcels that were not previously exempt from property taxation, but have returned back to the tax roll. Subdivisions are also considered new growth for the first time and will be considered as separate parcels. Personal property is when a new business comes into Seekonk and the assets are considered new growth. Likewise, if an existing business purchases new assets, those assets are considered new growth. Here is the LE4. This is called the comparison report. To me, I think this is very important so that way you can see and compare the FY24 parcel counts from FY24 to FY25 and vice versa for the assessed values for 24 and 25. Over to the far right-hand side, you're going to see the assessed value difference. This is where it came up with a 6.1%. And also the parcel counts, you'll see for 25 and 26, so you'll see a difference. So you might say, well, why is it single families from, there's a parcel count of 28 and 28, so if you go down to vacant parcels, the 130s, those are vacant parcels that became new subdivision counts. So going down the list, you'll see a difference on there. So if you have any questions as I'm going through, just ask. The next sheet is what we call is the what if scenario sheet. So there are a group of scenarios on here, the last one being 1.75, that was a shift, the factor that was selected last year. Over on the right-hand side up top, you'll see a small commercial exemption, and this has been taken into consideration for the past years. And this residential factor was selected using the small business exemption. I just want you to know that. It's been incorporated into these new numbers. So over at the far right-hand side, the very bottom, you'll see if it's, the shift is locked in at 1.75. The residential tax rate will be $12.35. Commercials will be $26.35, and personal property $26.31. And then the following sheet, I know Mrs. Sullivan really liked this sheet. It gives you, so the very bottom, again, going back to the factor of 1.75 shift, I gave you 6 different scenarios on both commercial and residential side. So the average house right now is 521. So I brought it down at 375. So a house at 375 at $12.35, the tax bill will be $4,631. So if you run it right across, I did it in increments of 100,000, 375 to 775 on the residential and commercial, for 500 to 1 million. The next sheet would be DLA3. DLA3 is pretty much grasping what we have for the fiscal 25, also for parcel count and values. The very bottom, you'll see exempt parcels and count value, which we have as exempt, meaning town-owned, 162 parcels. The following sheet is just for your info, the tax rate history, by supplying 10 years of all commercial and residential. And then the following sheet is the top 10 taxpayers in town. I've also supplied pictures so that way you know where I'm talking about, because if I mention 1977 Florida Avenue, you're not going to know. I don't think you would know. That is the FedEx building. So I figured the pictures would make sense.
Thank you for that.
The following sheet is the granting of small business exemptions. So this year we have 22. Now this is the select board, with the approval of council, may grant small commercial exemptions to all 3 classes. Now the small business exemptions are given to commercial buildings that have a value of less than $1 million and have less than 10 employees. And then the last sheet is if the board has any questions.
I do have a question. Back on, why do we change the assessed values? At the very bottom, you said if our values are not market value, they will not be approved. What is there a consequence to that? If our, market value is not approved, if it's not,
The tax rate is not going to be approved, nothing will be approved.
but what kind of a penalty is there? Well, is there a penalty?
There is not.
There is not, so,
There is, the penalty is tax bills will not be sent out. Tax rates will not be set, nothing will be done.
So it's a timing thing. The reason we do this meeting today is that they can go ahead and submit it to the DOR to approve this tax classification. Provided it gets approved in December, this allows the assessor's department to send out the tax bills before the end of the year, which then means that the tax bill would then become due and irregularly due, which allows revenue to be coming into the town for a particular time frame. So if you're the town administrator or the finance department, or how we cover a lot of our bills throughout the course of the year, we need to have that revenue coming in on schedule. If it gets delayed because the tax does not get approved, and we have to come back and they have to do their work again and have to go through the process, well, now it doesn't get approved until like January or February, it's later. Therefore, we get tax bills that come in later, money, and we're having to not make other decisions with regards to town resources and departments for the revenue side.
okay, that's an excellent explanation, that's what
Done this for a while.
By state law, if we don't get the tax bills out by December 31st, payments are not due until May. So I suppose you essentially skip the February payment, so residents have the right to then pay their bills in May without any interest.
Right.
So that's why the deadline is December 31st.
Okay. I think that's important for people to know. including myself.
Ms. Cordero, I have some questions here. I think I heard you make reference to the average assessed value you said was about 521,000, and that's just based on the total assessed value of properties versus the parcels that you have here in town. So along that line, do we have a rough idea of what the median market value of the homes are here in town? Because if somebody's sitting at home right now, right, and they're saying, no, and the average home was 2,500 square feet, and a year or 2 years ago it was 440,000. They're probably saying, no way did my house go up $80,000, right? From a market value, because that's the impression. So I guess the question would be, is that average home sale, if we're looking at average home prices, okay? That's why I asked the question about the median price, because that gives you a little more idea of what the average market sales are going, okay? For the real estate market in Seacon, residential. Do we have an idea of what that number is?
Well, that depends on improvements as well.
Yeah.
And whereabouts in the neighborhood they selling for.
Okay.
So what's gonna drive up their assessment of the sales around that neighborhood?
So are you, when you're doing the market assessment or the market value, so let's take a step back and say, where is that data coming from? So that we all know, that people understand where the assessed value is
Right,
coming from.
so it has to be analyzed, different criterias, both by building style, the grade, the condition of the home, location, and how many sales within that neighborhood. And that's gonna justify the value.
In that neighborhood could be what, a half-mile radius or?
Exactly.
Okay,
And we have 38 maps in town.
good to know. So,
But I think what Mr. Sullivan was asking, so in terms of, you provided the average
Yeah.
value of the home. So what he's essentially looking is, I forget how many parcels we have, 5,100. So when you put the 5,100 in order, right, the highest to lowest value, he's looking for that middle number. It's just another way to gauge.
It's about 520.
okay.
There's a difference between the average and the middle number.
Because obviously with the high-end number, with the number of high-end homes that have been built of late, right, they're gonna pull that lower average up, okay? So people are gonna, some of those smaller homes, they go, no boys in my house that much, right? Because some average has been pulled up from a different angle, right? So, I think what's interesting too, and I appreciate you sending this along ahead of the meeting, because it gave me a little bit of time to take a little bit of a further look in terms of asking the questions, because we have, it's not just 5,100 of single family, but you baked into all of it, you have multifamily, apartments, condos, et cetera. Are you, I guess, does the Board of Assessors in general look at, in that sheet that you did for us, right, the 35,000, how the tax impact is, okay? By this one.
The residential
The
commercial.
residential commercial on this one, okay? Do you also look at the number of parcels that are under roughly each classification? So properties that would be, how many properties that would be under the 370 or up to 375? How many would be up to?
That I did not do.
Okay. Just because I think,
I will set that up for next year.
I think in part, particularly as the board, right? I mean, some of these decisions can be fairly, boilerplate from year to year, but when things get a little bit more challenging, when you have to make decisions, understanding who's gonna really feel this more, in terms of the overall number of property owners and where that value really hits, okay? So are we having an increase in properties at the higher end? We have an increase in properties at the middle end? Is that where the bulk of it is? Like, is it between 475 and 575? Right? It's understanding where that is, because that is where our revenue really is getting generated from. Those are the people that are gonna feel the impact, right? And that's where we're here from. So, granted, people at the higher end feel it to the lower for different reasons, but that's all. Another question. Because I think this also, as we work on the tax factor, and I ask a lot of these questions just for residents to know that we go through this and that we're not just kind of rubber stamping, but we have to all understand how does this meeting and the tax factor impact them at home, from the assessed value. And we walk away and we say it's gonna be $12.35 per thousand, right? And that's gonna be how that works. Does this also impact how the debt exclusion gets distributed? Thank you, distributed, right? Because if the tax factor changes, does the debt exclusion factor change where commercial could potentially pick up more or less?
I may need Sean's help on this.
It does.
Yes. So in this particular instance, if we were to approve the 1235 or the 1.75 shift, which would be no change to what it was last year, then the residents would be paying the lowest share of what the debt exclusion would be. Okay. In the past, we've seen how the shift or, the tax factor has impacted the levy generated. And you provided what it was last year. Is there a projection based on, since you've kind of given some preliminary thoughts, if it was at 1235 for residential and the 2635 for commercial, is there a projection in terms of what the levy is that will be generated from that?
That I would not know at this point.
Gotcha. Mr. Kadim, you haven't looked at it yet, have you?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The levy generated if the tax factor of 1.75 would be at 1235 was approved.
So the levy would be, the levy doesn't change on the factor. Because we have,
Well, the amount of money that's generated from the levy itself, right? Because we've seen how the revenue that's generated from that.
2.5.
On the 2.5,
So
right?
it's roughly, I haven't seen the new increase, but it's roughly 1.2 million.
Thank you. I asked that question because I'm looking ahead here too, as we have the tri-county in our future, and not having that set up for determining as to whether or not that's gonna be debt exclusion. There could be a potential, making sure that we have enough revenue coming in to cover that as the operating expenses. Sounds good. All right, I think I've worn everybody out.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Excellent. Lydia, can I ask you a question? The tax rate history for all class.
Sure.
You're right up to 2024. If we approve the 1.75, do you have the amounts for 2025? Did I miss it?
No, not yet. It hasn't been done yet.
Is that what the estimated is?
Well, the estimate, yeah, if we go to the
That's the
1.75,
estimate.
on the bottom of the sheet,
Yeah.
the residential is gonna remain 1235, then it jumps to 26,
But that might be off of
Yes.
might be off a little bit. The bottom line, that chart you're looking at, Michelle, at the bottom, if we go to the 1.75,
I
the
see it.
numbers you see on these residential, commercial,
Yeah,
personal property tax, and individual,
Got
those are gonna be the estimated rates, they could be off a penny or two, she said.
okay, okay. I get it. I see it now. And what confused me is it's almost the same. So that's why I was a little bit confused. That's why I had to ask you, because on this chart and from 2024, it's, relatively similar, except for, a little bit of penny changes here and there, not penny, you know what I mean. Okay, I see that. Okay, so you need what from us to go forward?
I need the Board of Selectmen to agree on the tax shift factor.
The tax shift factor of,
So where, Mr. Healy had mentioned, the 1.75 or the 1.745, if you run your finger across over to the far right-hand side, that would be your tax rate.
There should be a formal motion.
There is.
Okay, that's got this.
there is, I'm just asking questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm looking at. So you want to go from 1.750 to 1.745, is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying.
Madam Chair,
Oh,
Madam
go
Chair,
ahead.
she cannot make a recommendation.
Right.
We have to set,
Right.
it's the board's
Right,
responsibility to
but
set. So if
Yep.
there's a motion to be read, before the motion's read, can I suggest I'll set it at?
Go.
I would make the shift at 1.75 with a residential factor of 82.157008. With the tax rates that are on the form of $12.35 for residential, commercial 26.35. Is that individual?
Industrial.
Industrial 26.35 and personal property 26.31.
I'll agree with that.
Include, do you want to include the 10% small commercial exemption?
Is that a separate motion or do we do it all
She
together?
already built it into the.
Okay,
So that's one motion.
and also the small commercial exemption.
I would
That
agree with
included
that.
in the past.
Okay, any questions? I got a motion and a second. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right,
What?
Mr. Zora has to read the proper
He has to
motion.
read-
So we disagreed, so now Mr. Zora actually, we're all in agreement.
Mr. Healy said exactly what the motion was.
No, yeah,
So that's why I made sure
because
that
he added the
10%.
10%, right?
So
All right,
he did it proper. Yeah.
second.
Yeah, we got that. Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have discussion regarding town administrator's fiscal year 25 goals and objectives. At the last meeting, we discussed the goals and objectives that we had for, that Mr. Kadeen had sent to us, which included, complete the board of selectmen review of the employee, oh no, that was from 2024 that's been done. Your recommended goals for 2025 will implement a human capital management module to provide department heads and professional development training, which is an ongoing process, which is very good, excellent. And complete the economic development study. So the goal of the board was to recommend any new goals that we may have, which I've already sent to you as soon as I can find my paper. Now, as you know, so we got two recommendations. One had to do with, that we had actually expressed at the last meeting, was to get a list of the town-owned properties, to list and study their future use, or I put down sale on my notes, but it's future use basically, to see if maybe that the property would, town-owned property would, are useful, because I know at our last meeting we had, at a town meeting, we had some town properties that were put up for sale. Some were put up for sale and others were not, according to the vote on town meeting floor. So the board would like to review that, to get another list, an up-to-date list. If you don't mind adding that to your goals for us, that's good for you. Another one that has come through is to review town administration policies. Oh, wait, before I go to that one, well, I can come back. Town administration policies. I handed out to the board today, like administrative policy number 55, which is dated 2003, which needs to be updated. That had to do with Board of Selectmen's operational policy. And to let you know that when I was looking through the administrative policies, administration policies on the website. It's a little confusing. If you didn't know the name of the policy, could we kind of line it up as, policy number 1, 2, however far they go? If you look at it, it's just to find this one took me a little bit. It's just basically the layout on the website, just
Yeah,
so it's,
we would just have to, because if we just did numbers, then you wouldn't, so I'd have to put a number and then what the title was.
oh, yeah, but the way it's laid out now, like, not all of them say administrative policy number 15. It just has a title or whatever, and it's under
Right.
number, it's just
Yeah,
not lined up right for us to be able to, well, for me anyway, to be able to look at, I don't know if anybody else did it. This was an example, policy number 55, which is, Board of Selectmen's operational policy that really needs to be updated. And in our October 16th Board of Selectmen's meeting, we were to review this policy, and we postponed it till October 30th. And just to tell you, as an oversight on my part, it did not get continued onto our October 30th Selectmen's meeting, and I gave you this copy so you can see what this was all about. I don't know why that one was oh, wait a minute, that's 35, never mind, 55, anyway. The policy number 35 has to do with, sustainable purchasing, buying recycled and waste prevention policy, which we did not continue, but if we agreed to put this on to, the goals for our town administrator, I think that's kind of something that will be attacked later on. Mr. Kadim?
Yeah, that's what you will.
In addition to that, I had a submission for, under the town administrator's continued suggestion for economic development, engage, it's some steps, I think, that fall under
I'll explain it.
the goal number 3. So which is to complete the economic development study. And I think this is a good list for Mr. Kadim and us to have, for him to, so he could possibly finish that up. I don't think it's a separate goal, I think it's a,
No, it's important, it's to be, we'll look to go along with number 3, but something a little bit more specific under there, because we want to make sure that the goals we're giving him are specific and measurable and something that he can work on here. So, and I think that these are things that he can report back to the board that'll have a direct immediate, or at least a direct, hopefully immediate, direct impact to the town, so.
so did you get a chance to review that? No, you couldn't have, I just gave it to you, didn't I? This one, yeah.
No, I got,
You
I was
have it.
included in the email.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so that would go on to your third one. There were a couple of things that, like objectives, and when this was written out, it was like things that have been, carrying on since last year, actually. And they're actually, Board of Selectmen topics that have come up that I don't feel are completed yet. So I did put a list here that we can check these out, like printing and distribution of the employee handbook, which has been approved, but because of one of the articles on the warrant, that maybe that could be a reason that you're holding up actually having it printed out and distributed, so that some of the wording inside could be changed, or is this under?
So the employee, I guess, are you looking for a number of copies? Because we keep so the policies are usually electronic, so that we just send it out to the employees electronically.
Well, we approved the employee handbook,
Correct.
so what has happened since we did that?
So it's approved and it's in electronic form, so we don't print it out for employees.
But has it been distributed to all employees?
So it's been sent to the unions, because the unions have a comment period if they want to impact bargain, so
That's what I needed to know.
Yep.
So right now, they've been sent to the unions and they have a certain amount of time to come back.
So the unions have the policy, they're reviewing it, and I forget what the date was, I have to double check with Carol, but she sent out the notification to the unions.
Okay. And then, once they come back with whatever we have to discuss, if there's something that needs to be.
Yes, so if there are no issues or no changes, because a lot of this, it was just compiling existing policies, so we've made that notification to the various collective bargaining groups. So assuming that there's no issues or need for impact bargaining, then it's finalized, and then we'll put it onto the employee file where they have access to it readily. So it's electronic, so we don't.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah,
But
just,
if a union comes back and has an issue, then we have to have discussions.
okay, so it's final, but it's not yet. Okay. The Verizon issue near Aiken School, we never, do we have a contact? Oh, Mr. Cabral, you are here. Do you have a contact with Verizon? We've been talking a while on the fact that the area around the Aiken School possibly could use a telephone antenna, cell phone antenna. Has anybody gotten in contact with anyone?
So we've called Verizon. Verizon has indicated that there is no immediate work to erect a tower, and typically they don't erect the towers, they lease the towers from somebody, so a property owner would put in permission to erect the tower. So outside of that, there's not much, especially from a municipality standpoint, that we can do in terms of cell phone coverage.
There's nothing. Can we rent that out?
This is not our business.
Can we what?
Rent out our land and erect the tower? Just
If that's the will of the board, if you want to.
Well, I think we can entertain that after we get a list and description or whatever of our properties, maybe. That might be,
Yeah, you could put a tower, but there's no guarantee of Verizon or Sprint is going to run at least the
Right.
tower.
Or it's gonna improve it.
Right.
but,
Pick a cell phone company, they have a dead spot. Unfortunately, it just happens to be over Aiken.
It happens to be all cell phone.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, the walking path, there was an issue about a bridge on the walking path. We did point that out to conservation with our last conservation agent. Has that been passed on to our new conservation agent? Or did this?
I don't know that it's passed on to Nolan, but Dave Carroll did have, I believe it was GPI that went out there, did a survey, so we got the survey back on that, so just gotta review the survey to see where the lines are.
Okay, so we're not done yet.
No, but we'll send that, I'll send that to conservation, but he won't have any real jurisdiction on it. So that's gonna be, if it's on private property, that's gonna be a discussion for the board and the property owners.
But for some reason, I thought we gave it to the last she may, just,
No, she
just
paid
mention
for
it to him.
Yeah, I
There
will.
may be paperwork that,
They
or
paid,
something that
they paid for the survey. So they paid for the surveyor to go out there. It came out of their budget.
no, that's all they did.
Yeah.
I was just figuring that maybe there was left behind something. So we have the GPI survey, but we haven't. Okay, capital improvement list and information, and the reason this is on there is because we don't have a capital improvement committee yet. And I know in the past, when we had a capital improvement committee, they actually had a list of capital improvements that, from each department. And then, however, they, I know with a list, things jump around, things become priority, whatever. I know you're doing it because we don't have the committee yet. Do we have a list of those things? Do you have an electronic list of those things?
So I did it when we had a committee.
I was gonna say, the capital improvement committee was there, they just made recommendations.
Correct.
The final outcome is at your discretion.
Right.
in
No,
terms
I
of-
know, but I
So-
thought there was, because I know that
There's
the,
deadlines, it was laid out in the financial calendar, so department heads, I believe, back in September, had to submit capital improvements. So the deadline for the capital improvement committee was a recommendation to the board of selectmen and the town administrator on January 15th. So we'll still meet that deadline in terms of reviewing the capital plans and
Okay.
getting that out. So we haven't, it was submitted, I haven't even begun having conversations with individual departments to discuss their capital items, what's changed, or current ones that are.
okay, and then it's gonna come back to us at some point, so
It will, yeah.
we'll see.
And then the other issue becomes the funding mechanism. So it's
Oh, I
probably gonna be a
understand, yeah.
conversation, because we're right at that minimum balance for the capital improvement stabilization account. So if we're gonna use free cash, we have a little bit of free cash, so there's not a whole lot once we start taking the lease payments. So we might need one more year before we start really executing some of these capital items.
All right. I know a lot of times, even with the list and the priorities, that things get bumped here and there, but it would be nice to have something that changes that we can see. And the other thing, the town charter needs to be reviewed again in 2025. So we have discussed this before. We've had people come here and say they want a commission. We have people that say they want a committee. So now, if we get I know if we decide to have a commission, people have to get elected, so they have to submit their nomination papers, and we have a townwide election in April. So how does this move forward now? Do we decide as a board whether it'll be a commission or a committee, or tell me the procedure right now?
Yeah, so the board would need to make a determination if you're gonna want a committee or a commission. So before people sign up for nomination papers, if you do a commission, you've gotta go get a percentage, I think it's 15% of registered voters of this last,
Roughly 1,800.
people of this last, federal election, so that's what it's based on.
Okay,
So 1,800.
It's roughly 1,800. I did ask the question prior to the presidential election,
yes.
because I was actually going to attempt to take on the challenge of getting the signatures, because I figured if I could spend a 12-hour day at the high school, I probably would have got the 1,800 signatures that day, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that, so I did not go forward with it, because I didn't want to fail right off the gate.
Right.
I thought it was a great opportunity to get the signatures without really having to go knocking on people's doors, because the people were coming to us. So I did ask Mr. Kadim to look into it, he got me all the documentation for it. I think if we do it, I think as a board, we should have it, as an agenda item later on at some meeting, have a good discussion about it. I think the right way to do it would be, is to actually go forward with a charter commission. To where they have the authority to go, make recommendations, without too much change. They're elected, they're given a purpose. A committee, as we know that, the last committee put an awful lot of time into it, and unfortunately, it just kind of fell apart for a multitude of reasons, I guess. So if we were gonna go forward, I'd be fully supportive of a commission, and I'll do what I can to get as many signatures as possible. It was just unfortunate. I really thought I lost a good opportunity, because you think about the election day, we would have 1,800 votes by 10 o'clock in the morning, probably.
Yeah. Well,
Registered
my
voters.
question would be, if there's approximately someone who wanted to be on the commission has to get 1,800 signatures, is there a number of commission?
Yeah, there's a number of
Has to be-
seats, that are available, but you only have to get 1,800 signatures once. So
Once, to form the commission.
Yes, but what happens if you don't get enough people that go out and get the 1,800 signatures to be on the commission?
No, it doesn't matter how many people do it. So that's what I'm saying. So the first step is to get 1,800.
Yeah, so,
Maybe we should
Michelle,
put
what
this
would
on
be
an
is,
agenda item.
One at a time, I'm confused already. Go ahead.
so if I would have got 1,800
Yeah.
signatures to
Yeah.
form a charter commission, then there would be 7 people that would run for that commission. They would go out and get elected. What is it, 50 signatures they need? They would need 50 signatures to get on the ballot, so people could vote for them.
Oh,
The
I get what
1,800
you're
signatures are
saying.
just to make the
I get
commission,
what you're saying.
Just to
Okay.
form the commission.
Okay, that's where I was confused. Okay.
Next meeting agenda,
So,
I think that's the recommendation here, and table this discussion until then.
I can do that. I have the power. We'll put that on for,
December 3rd.
well, I think it's the 4th, right? 12/4?
4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 12/4. Okay, we'll have another discussion. Okay, John?
Keep it going. Keep it alive.
Okay. Okay, so I have that, and Sean, we've given you a ton of things right now. Do you have anything to say as far as?
I'm good with that. I don't need any more.
No, I'm not asking you if you want any more. I'm just asking your opinion on what we've been
Yeah,
discussing.
no, I'm fine with it.
You're good?
I'm in agreement, yeah.
So I think, I guess the question here is, because at the end of the day, in a, call it next July or August, when Mr. Kadim is gonna do a roll-up, we have a number of to-do items that we just kind of went through. Those are daily to-dos. These aren't yearly things for him to be working on. This is stuff that he can delegate between his department heads and get done. The goals for the town administrator, the objectives for the town administrator should be ones that are solely focused for him to help drive either the town, something for the town economically, or for the residents, not a resident, not a board member or a particular project that's, an individual thing. It's something that he can do and contribute to the town employees over the course of the year, something that's gonna be a year-long project that's gonna be meaningful. I think the suggestions that he gave previously are good, economic development was good, if there's something else in that, I think the expectation, we just as a board need to make sure that we are clear in terms of guiding Mr. Kadim, what he's gonna report back as what his three objectives, are they 3 objectives, are they 5 objectives? What are they that he's gonna report back at the end? But I do believe that a bunch of these are to-do items that should be part of the day-to-day business, but
He's got 5 objectives, he's goals, there's 5 now. That's it, that's good. We're good, let's move on. Okay, next we have winter operations update from the Department of Public Works.
Good evening. Very simply, I can tell you we're ready, but I do have a handout, so I'll pass that around.
Don't say the S word, please.
Salt,
What?
salt, supper. Okay, look, salt's not wrong.
yeah, I'm not far wrong.
This extra. Let's see what we got.
So the first sheet, I'll go through that with you. That's a summary. I just provided a few items in the packet you may have for informational purposes. But I kind of listed things that we typically do in this time of the year anyway, to get you up to speed. I tried to leave everything, include everything I can think of. I don't think I left much out. In terms of salt, we did have on hand last year 350 tons left over. We had a rather mild winter, I'll say, which we had excess salt in the shed. We did order 300. Typically, November 1st, we do inventory, figure out what we need, and stop ordering. We ordered 300 tons. We had it delivered on the 4th, so we are 750 tons in the shed that holds 1,000. So we are in great shape in terms of salt. Magnesium chloride, we use that. It's a liquid. We have a 2,000-gallon tank right next to the fuel pumps. That is used for pretreatment and sanding operations as well. That comes out of New York. We currently have 800 gallons. Typically, we use about 1,000 to 1,200 a year. We did put a call in to our vendor that's out of New York to provide us with the delivery. That's pending. So we should be getting that anytime, but by no means is it going to interfere with winter operations.
And how much did you order?
We basically try to fill the tank, so we total 1,200 gallons we're looking for.
Okay.
So it'll be close to full. In terms of vehicles, we currently have 11 small trucks and 6 large sanders. Those are not including the 2 admin vehicles, which are powerful vehicles as well. But we have 17 vehicles for our staff. I did want to just mention that because further down, right under that, you see I have 17 employees with 1 pending, so we're going to have 15 employees with 17 vehicles. We typically will use a loader. We usually have somebody loading. We typically have a loader though that will plow during snow events if they're significant. And we will usually have a backup out doing the same, which frees up 2 vehicles. My vehicle and my assistant's vehicle could be available if needed as well, because there are other vehicles in town, 4-wheel drive, that we could use that are suitable for admin vehicles. But just in general, we do have a truck to put every one of our employees in right now. And in any given snowstorm, we usually have 2 vehicles available for drivers. So I'll just bring that out there for you one for with that information. I did provide you with a listing of our condition of the vehicles on the attached sheet. So the next sheet you have, list all the vehicles, and I did identify, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there should be 7 of them, they're highlighted. I'm just showing you the older vehicles in red that are up for replacement as part of capital improvement along with the fiscal year for that replacement. So all the ones that kind of made sense, all the ones in fair condition. And I will draw attention to the large sander, last around the one in red,
19.
19. That one there was on Springtown meeting, that got denied. That is again on this year's full-time meeting coming up Monday. Hopefully it'll get approved. The vehicle we have, all the vehicles starting to cost money, and we're hoping to get that ordered. It's probably going to be 2 years out before we take delivery. But again, this is just to kind of show you all the equipment we have in terms of the trucks, the sanders, heavy equipment. I did include the 2 loaders and the 2 backhoes, so they're on there, along with the sidewalk equipment, which consists of our MT6 tractor, that's the trackless. We have 2 small ASB units that we bought a while back. They're great. They're brand new. And then the Willie, which is totally dedicated just to snow removal. So in terms of sidewalks, we have great equipment for handling the sidewalks as well. So that's just kind of an informational sheet, also highlighting the capital improvement plan, ties in nicely, and gives you a snapshot of the age of the equipment, the miles on the equipment, and so on. Advertising, again, first of the month, we sent out mailings to all of our private vendors. We did not have a lot of vendors last year, but we probably sent out 5 to 8 applications to vendors that have followed with us in the recent past. We typically do that. The advertisement was run in the Sun Chronicle over the weekend, actually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Message boards, we are going to be putting them out. They would have been out this week, except we have paving going on Warren Avenue starting tomorrow with the milling and paving this week. So as soon as those boards are freed up, they will be advertising for snowplow drivers this week. Currently, as of today, usually at the end of the month, we have a better handle on the applicants, but as of today, we only have 1 application received, not uncommon. The vendors typically will get those in the last week of November. Anticipating the number of plow vendors, last year we had 3. I don't see there being much change for this year. So that's going to be vendors on 10 plow routes. If we get 3, that's probably where we're going to steer. In terms of drivers, we did send out applications to our 2 drivers last year. I imagine both of those drivers are coming back. They like to come and plow for the town, so I can see them here. And again, they would be in vehicles and would be assigned to plow routes, usually when we stop plowing operations. Rates and incentives, we did look at the rates that we did do increase last year, if you remember. We made that suggestion to the board, and that was endorsed. The rates are still competitive. We are still offering that $500 sign-on bonus. As long as the applications are completed in full by November 30th. There's actually 2 items here I want to mention for consideration. One is possibly raising that incentive to $1,000 to offset the insurance cost. I have 2 vendors that are no longer plowing because the insurance got to be about $1,000. If they don't get at least 2 storms, they're not going to break it. The incentive program could help with that. But I had a guy that's plowed with me since I've been here, at least 15 years, I'd say, that last year said it was just too costly. I have another gentleman that said, well, he doesn't want to spend the money on insurance, knowing that he's not going to get. If he doesn't get at least, 2 storms, he's not even breaking even out there. Something to consider. And then I would also say we may want to consider extending that deadline. The board wants to entertain that. We can certainly take that under advisement. But those would be 2 things that I would try to do just to see if we have a couple of late stragglers that may want to take advantage of a bonus, knowing how difficult it was last year to get anybody to sign up. And that's kind of where we stand with that. Sidewalks, again, the equipment is all ready to go. I did list the equipment, that equipment is ready to go. We also order high-performance cold patch and pop-ups. Something you may not necessarily be aware of, but we want to put it out. We have a pallet of that on hand. We just took delivery of that today. We use that all winter. We can't usually go out and get hot mix all the time. A cold patch is a high performance that holds up well, gets us through the winter. And that's kind of where we're at. I did make a little note in the bottom that I'll go over with you because, again, it comes down to DPW being adaptive to what we have to work with, right? So For this year, during our regular fall operations, we have in the past maintained all of our main and secondary using only 13 employees. Good news is we're up to 17, hopefully up to 18, which will help us a little bit with the residential groups. So I just put this in here because ideally, we'd like to keep all the DPW staff on the main roads and secondaries while the vendors are out on the residential. It's more efficient. It's what everybody's traveling on. Once they get out of the residential street to main or secondary, we try to keep those clear as much as possible. Knowing that we may not have that many vendors again this year, last year we were fortunate because we only had one storm. It was not even a significant one. I think it was 4 or 5 inches if I'm correct, and it wasn't that big a deal. We handled it. But we start getting those events with 10 inches of snow. I just wanted to put this little caveat in here that if needed, we could utilize 14 employees on the mains and secondaries and immediately put 3 or 4 folks in plumbing, residential plumbers. And 2 drivers that we would have anyway would be 6. And hopefully a couple of vendors would get us close to having at least someone in each plumber as we start the fall. So that's kind of where we are this year. Try to get as much information as I could, and then I'll just open up the questions if you have any.
Almost like Groundhog Day. Almost like Groundhog Day, still looking for that.
We do have the schools on board to help us out with all their assets.
I could certainly reach out there.
They are town vehicles, as I say every year, when a taxpayer drives by and sees a town vehicle sitting there in the parking lot of the school with a plow and not helping out streets, it's a slap in the face. So I'm sure Jimmy Roy would be glad to assist, because at the end of the storm, you sent all 18 of your guys there to help out those parking lots.
I would entertain possibly having a discussion with Mr. Kadim and myself and the school department to see if they will. The only time that they helped out here, since I've been here, in my 17 years I've been here, was when we had a blizzard one year.
Right, but at least if they have a blizzard, they're gonna help us.
I can't really speak for them, but through Mr. Kadim, I think we could try to get you an answer.
Should be a no-brainer in my mind. It's town equipment, town stuff, let's work together and get it done. Yeah, it's,
So you have more employees, that can help out this year than you had last year. But it seems that vendors are tough.
used to have 20-something
The
vendors.
the vendors, and do you equate that to the incentive?
It's, I'll tell you, since COVID, it's been strange, because we just haven't had a number of vendors coming in. Actually, the first 2 years right after COVID weren't that bad, because the same vendors that we had come in. I don't know what it's been lately. I think we've had a couple of seasons with not too much snow. A couple, like I told you, one guy's been with me 15 years. Last year he called up saying, I'm not interested, thanks for the application, and he actually gave me a courtesy call. He said, I just made a decision not to do it this year. It's too costly for me to maintain that insurance that I have to have to cover. So we're hoping the incentive will offset that. That's what we were hoping last year. We didn't really see it come to fruition. I had 3 vendors last year. That's all that's signed up.
And you're starting to see a lot more of the vendors taking private, commercial contracts, so just doing clauses, things of that nature.
And we're not alone in that. I mean, you know.
No, I
The
know.
state is
I
doing
know.
incentives, all the towns are trying to do incentives, everyone's trying to attract vendors to come to
Yeah.
their town, and it's strange, because I've never been here before. I've had lean years where maybe we've had 6 or 7 vendors, but last year was the first year that we had 3. And I had to list it, I was like, and luckily we had 2 drivers. So it's, I looked at it almost like, well, we have 5, because at least those guys that we had in our trucks were put in residential, but that was only 1 vendor per 2 hours. Not a good situation.
But I think at one time you had told us that you lost some of the vendors because the incentive from whatever town was more than ours, so.
Well, we were trying to keep our rates competitive. You don't want to see them go to other communities, and that's really not the case. Most of the folks that we have are local, stayed here. It's not, you know, even the ones I know of, I'm not sure of any that I'd love to go to another town. I've had them just not want to do it.
Right.
And we've been adjusting the rates and adding incentives, like that's been fairly consistent for the last few years, where we've had to try to keep up with it, because the towns look
Do you know what the rates are now in adjoining towns? What their
They're comparable to what, I did list our rates currently, so
Yeah.
we look at the surrounding communities, and they're comparable, they haven't gone up. Last year, I did the whole listing, the neighboring towns, that we were competitive, they're similar. I didn't go through that effort to the
Yeah,
same
that's
degree, but I did look at a snapshot to see if there were any substantial jumps, and if there are substantial jumps, and I think other communities are in the same boat, I know Rehoboth, they rely on venues, I mean, other than, I think they had Lopes working for them one year, but they outsourced the whole thing pretty much. In Rehoboth, they have very few drivers.
If there's lots of snow, there are lots of plow drivers. No snow, we haven't had a lot of snow.
Last year we were fortunate.
But if we get a lot of snow, it's kind of too late, right, for the vendors to jump on board?
So, and that's kind of why, at least for discussion purposes tonight, I mean, if you want to entertain possibly raising that incentive to $1,000, at least it's a discussion we can have. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but it may. There's two individuals I can think of that it might be enough to bring them back, possibly.
Now, you're saying $1,000 because of the insurance. Their insurance that they have to carry is $1 million? Is that what it is?
Yes,
Right, I understand that, and that is $1,000 a year for them? I'm
it costs
asking.
them, yes, it does, it costs them between $800 and $1,000 a year.
Okay. I get it.
So.
So they basically want to be covered for their insurance and,
And the folks that came out last year, they had one carnival event. They got paid the $500 incentive and their rate for that one day.
yeah, because they have to
probably broke
carry it
even.
for the winter, right? Yeah.
They probably broke even last year, at best.
At best.
So maybe we're in a position where, because this has the potential where it could run away from you, but maybe you say to the first 10 vendors, if that's a dollar value we're willing to commit to it for 10 grand. For 10 vendors, we say, hey, we'll do it for $1,000, but you gotta sign up by this particular day and time.
But then we have to dish out the $1,000 at the stop, right?
And we save it, no, we pay them at the end. So the incentive, I gave you a copy of it, but I'll do the short summary, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's twofold. It's $1,000 for you if you sign on early. And then it's also attendance. So if you sign on, you're not getting the bonus and you're not getting the bonus paid out until May. It's clearly stated in there that bonus will not be paid until May of 2025,
Okay,
around then. But it also has some criteria in there. You have to participate in at least 50% of snow removal operations. And then there's another thing in there about breaking down. But very simply, we want you to show up. And if you don't show up for half the events, we would prorate anything over 50%. If you participate in 60, we'll prorate it, so you'll get $600 if it was 1,000.
I get it, yeah.
That's how that's the best way to attract somebody and have them commit to come here.
Dave, I think by having that deadline by November 30th, though, you have a lot of these other towns in the state that they want them to submit by November 1st, so it's kind of like we have a later deadline, but some of these people already jumped on board with other people. And it's a big problem everywhere.
I think, so I guess there's a couple things with that. We found in the past, if you advertise earlier, they don't respond to it. And we're not the vendors the vendors around here not because they're just gonna make money and go work for Mass DOT, right? The vendors we have here are local, they like working for the town because it's local and they're helping participate in the community. That's how we kind of see it.
Right.
All these guys are within probably a 5-mile radius of town, if not in town. And they like working here, they got to be too costly. I think the fact alone that you're offering an incentive, if you're gonna attractive enough, you may at least have other new folks out there that do it in landscaping, what have you, that have the truck, and would say, well, if you're gonna pay me $1,000 and I'll break it even from the get-go, I'll sign up. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I don't know if it's gonna make a difference, but it's, in reality, that's where last year was a clear indication to me that we don't have the resources available that we used to. And part of it has to be the cost of the insurance, I'm sure.
Okay. Mr. Kadim, on the agenda, we just have a winter operations update. We want to entertain this sign-on bonus. Can we do this under there, or do we have to put on
You
another
can.
agenda?
Yeah, you
Oh,
can, it's related to the snow operations, so.
Okay. Winter operations. So what's the board's feelings?
I would say, let's give it a shot of going to 1,000, but you could cap it to the first 10, because that way it doesn't run out of control, somebody doesn't say quick and then we don't get bombarded by it.
Per vendor or per piece of equipment?
How does that work
No, it's the
per vendor, right?
$1,000 is per piece of equipment. So if one vendor has 3 pieces of equipment, it's for each plow vehicle.
That's what's
The insurance is
Right.
per vehicle.
Okay, and that's what we need.
Yes.
So we need 10 vehicles. So I think the first 10 vehicles in. Right? And you can start with the guy who already, that way the one guy who's already on the list doesn't get shortchanged. And I think you do that, and you run it from now until, call it December, if you could go with December 15th and give a couple extra weeks so we're, get out, does that work? Or it's December 31st and then you call it there?
Yeah, it's,
What happens if there's a snow event before then,
Why not? I don't think you wanna go that far out.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking, so,
I think mid-December would be ideal.
so go December 15th. Maybe, whatever that day is, I'm saying here.
We'll make it a Friday.
Yeah, 13th, right? Yeah, December 13th. Go $1,000 per truck. And for the first 10 trucks that get on board. And see if that.
That's
see
a
if
discussion. Anybody gonna discuss anymore? That wasn't really a motion, so.
No, it wasn't.
No, I know.
Is-
Then-
I know,
his
that's fine.
suggestion.
What happens if you get 12, 13 people that jump on board? You just say to the 2 or 3 people, hey, just come on board for the regular hourly rate?
Yeah,
Is that
well,
making
yeah,
sense?
the bonus is there, the bonus is our security to get people to come up and get here early. Bonuses in our security to take care of the people that were waiting until the bonus was great and then they showed up late. Right, next year, you maintain the same level of bonus in place, maybe you put it to November 30th and we try to get people in place. Because if that's truly the barrier, then it's $1,000. That's why somebody's deciding whether or not they're gonna do it. I think that's where you leave it, because you don't, the whole point of putting a cap on the first 10 vehicles is A, that helps satisfy the need that we have, and then B, the cost doesn't run out of control for us either. Even though it's snow and ice and we get to pay for it on the tail end of it.
We get it. Make a motion.
That very good?
Well, make a motion, we'll find out.
So we'll want to discuss it before.
There you go.
So,
Nobody's saying anything.
I'll make a motion to, increase the bonus from 500 per hired vehicle to 1,000 per hired vehicle to extend through December 13th for snow and ice removal, up to 10 vehicles, up to a total of 10 vehicles.
And back apply it to the person who's already signed up.
And back applied to the person that's already signed up, thank you.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. And we would like an update too, after December 4th, 13th, so we'll know how.
I can do that for Mr. Dean, but towards the end of the month, I'll give you an update and just kind of keep you informed of how we're doing.
Please,
Thank you.
please, yes. Okay, sign the warrant for the special town election on November 25th, 2024. Oh, that's this one. Should I read it?
Yeah.
Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Town of Seacon. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth, you are required to notify and warn inhabitants of the town who are qualified to vote in the election to vote at precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4, vote at the Seacon High School Library, 261 Arcade Avenue, Seacon, Massachusetts, on Monday, November 25th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following purpose: to cast their vote in the special town election for the election for the following binding ballot question. Binding question: shall the town of Seacon be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so called, the amounts required to pay for the bond issued in order to pay the cost of designing, constructing, originally equipping and furnishing a new Department of Public Works building to be located at 341 Fall River Avenue, Seacon, Mass., including the payment of all other incidental and related costs. Given under our hands this 13th day of November 2024. Select Board of Seacon. Ta-da. Bill, welcome.
Make a motion to sign the warrant for the special town election on November 25th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous.
All right, Mitch.
Chris. Consider the approval of open session meeting minutes from October 16th, 2024. We all received a correction on the spelling.
Make a motion as submitted for the minutes from October 16th, 2024.
Second?
Any discussions, corrections, additions, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Community speaks. Is there anybody out in the audience who would like to come up? Come on up, sir.
I have nothing to say to you.
Just hold on, you have a seat there and just give us our name. Yeah, give us our name. I'm sorry, give us your name again so that the lady that's gonna take the minutes knows it.
Okay, my name is Antonio Pimentel.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Address.
Oh, your address, sir?
70 Blacksmith Road.
Okay, and what would you like to say?
Well, I'd like to say what you told me last week, lying. Did you lie?
Did I lie?
Yes, you lied. Yes, you lied.
I didn't lie.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
And you passed us, that's it. You're gonna say this is it, like you said, the same thing. You, like Mr. Cabral said, you would all you two guys went on with Mr. Cabral. He's a liar. He's a bully. Now, this is a committee here? How many people in the committee?
5 people.
5 people? Why she spoke, and he spoke, he's the town administrator, in other words. He's the one who's supposed to resolve this problem before I came to the meeting. Between him and Mr. Cabral, and did nothing. So I came to the meeting here. She said she went there, I don't have to measure at your tree. Now, I gotta say, but
I went by your house, I saw it, and I would agree with what Mr. Cabral said, and what Mr. Kadim said.
So
It's your tree,
you're gonna be a liar too?
in your opinion,
Yes, no, you're lying.
in your opinion.
I have not gone by it, but if we've had that many people already go out and look at it, especially people like Mr. Cabral, who's already gone out and measured, and is more professional than
Yes,
I am, then I,
and the first
There's nothing
guy
else
came
that I can say.
beforehand, measured the same thing, and says, could be your tree, could be the town tree. And he came and says, my tree, and the tree's not standing up, the tree is sideways. You cannot measure that tree like that.
But the tree is leaning in favor towards the road, Mr. Pimentel.
No,
It's actually leaning, you're saying stand it up, if you stand up, it's actually gonna go
Like I
backwards
told
against
you.
the road.
lift up that tree. If that tree belongs to me, no problem, it's mine. You cannot measure that tree like that.
But what I'm saying
It's
is,
like, because you're lying, I'm gonna take that? I'm a taxpayer here.
I get it, and we 100% would overrule Mr. Kadim if we could, but it's illegal if Mr. Cabral says it's not our tree, there's nothing we can do about
Now, Mr. Garbar's been lying for me. I don't have the equipment, I don't have this,
it.
and just playing games like he did.
Mr. Pimentel, you keep saying that. You keep calling everybody a liar. You keep saying that.
Yes, because you guys lying.
Mr. Pimentel, I've been nothing but respectful to you.
You guys are walking all over me.
You're
Yeah,
attacking my
yes.
character. I told you from day one, I went out there myself with Dave Cabral.
And you agree with him?
Listen, I only agree with
Yeah,
what
of
I
course,
saw.
yeah.
But I told you before I went out there, I explained to you, I said, if the tree was on your property, Massachusetts general law does not allow us to utilize public money on private property. I said, the only way that that could be taken care of and resolved, if it was and we had this conversation, if it was out there. So to say that I didn't try and attempt to.
It's not in the
resolve the
budget,
issue,
right? It's not in the
it
budget.
has nothing to do with the budget.
Yeah, that's what he told me. That's what
It
you
has-
told me before. It's not in the
That's not
budget.
what I said. That has nothing to do with
90% of the tree was in the budget, 10% of the tree, it's mine.
it. It has nothing to do with the budget. So you called, I returned your
Oh,
telephone.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable because I sent Mr.
You're
Cabral
on your
out.
WhatsApp.
I sent Mr. Cabral out. I sent Jim Halpin out. I sent a DBW employee out there. Then I went out there myself to look at the tree. Then we
Oh,
had,
she did too.
we had
She
Mr.
said she
Zora,
went, but I don't
we
think
had,
she went.
Selectman
She said she
Hines,
don't
we
have
had
to
Selectman
wait. It's
Sullivan.
yours.
Everybody went out. I don't know what more we can tell you. At the end of the day, we cannot remove the tree. The tree is on your property. It is your tree. It
No,
is your
it's
tree.
not.
Okay.
You
so
said it's mine, no, it's
listen.
not, it's yours.
So we have to agree to disagree, but we have to do it respectfully. So to continue to call everybody a liar when nobody is lying,
Yes.
it's not right. You just
I
disagree
will.
with
It's a
us.
free country.
Listen, you can call us everything else,
It's
but
free
to call us
speech.
liars is not an accurate
I can
statement.
call you whatever I want.
Okay, Mr. Pimentel, thank
So,
you.
what's you say yes.
Say what?
You agree with them? Being a liar too?
I said that we've had the DPW workers who are more experienced than I am in measuring and determining what's private property and what's town
You guys
property.
even wanna go see
I
the
will have
tree
to ask if they'll
and
agree.
see how the tree is. You just agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you too, right?
Sure, call me a liar. Good, excellent. Have a
How
good
about
night.
you?
Have a good night.
I said the trees in.
No, I don't have to leave. You can kick me out of here. I'm a taxpayer.
Really, are you?
Yes.
What do you think I am?
No, I'm paying your tax. I'm paying your money, your jack.
You're paying my
Here
tax?
comes my taxes, right?
We don't, wow.
If I don't pay my taxes, you
Right,
don't
my
have a tax.
tax, the tax rate can go to nothing.
No,
Okay, all right.
Very good,
no.
Thank you.
very good. Have a nice
Do you
night.
have anything else, Mr. Pimentel?
Yes, I like to see the city trucks, all the city trucks with C-Count name on it. That's a law.
Okay, all right.
All these brand new trucks like he drives, F-350, just the cruise around with that, he's waiting. There's about 3 or 4 of those trucks on the road with no names on it, no numbers. I've been following these trucks around. Yesterday was one, went in a parking lot, stop and shop, and the Home Depot, and he was sitting there playing with the telephone, and a big truck like that, cruising around with a F-350 diesel trucks.
Mr. Pimentel, you realize they've got blue license plates, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we're not hiding. They stick out. Everybody else has white license plates.
yeah, but
City
by
vehicles have-
law, that's a complaint. By law, we're supposed to have it. I drove tractor trailer for 30 years, my friend.
They're not commercial trucks.
Excuse me?
They're not commercial trucks.
They're
You're-
city
you're-
trucks.
You're speaking about commercial trucks.
They're
You're
city
confusing the
trucks.
two
You're
laws.
supposed to have a name on it. How come your little cars over there at the DPW, is a two little, I think it's a station wagon, or a little SUV, they have the names on it. I didn't know he's a truck driver.
You're talking about US DOT stickers.
Yeah,
That doesn't belong on state or
yes, you're
municipality
supposed to have
vehicles.
it.
Go through Rhode Island or Mass and tell me if you find a US DOT number on it.
I wanna
They're
start
exempt.
taking pictures, videos. These people are going to Home Depot using a dump truck, and the weekends, I catching a few already.
Some of these guys get called in to do repairs in town hall on the weekend, so they go to Home Depot to buy supplies. Now, I don't know what that's doing, but there's sometimes they're in here doing,
Yeah, right, okay.
they're doing stuff.
Okay,
In town hall.
is that all, sir?
No, I'll be here every 2 weeks. I'll be here
Okay,
to call you guys a liar, all of them.
Excellent. Can hardly wait.
And
okay, our
election
next
time is
meeting,
coming.
our next meeting is
I'll
December
be
4th.
protesting with signs, and I'm gonna put all you guys' names on it. Liars,
Just spell it correctly.
bullies,
Just spell it correctly for me.
oh, I have them. I have all your names here. I have all your names.
Very good.
Mr. Cabal is giving you right at the top. I
Thank
know
you.
you guys.
He doesn't get elected.
Thank you, sir.
He's a bully right there. This is your fault.
I'm a
You
bully.
should resolve this, your town administrator here.
Well,
You were bullying Fall River?
I apologize for bullying you.
On Fall River, you were bully, and you come to Seacon, you're another bully. And everybody's catching that.
Have a good night, Mr. Pimental.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else here that'd like to speak on the community speaks? Okay, any other business, anticipated by the chairman, 48 hours, I do not have any. Town administrators report.
The only update we have is we did have a Public Works Building Committee meeting this afternoon. Good majority of the discussion was revolving around the presentation for town meeting on Monday. And then with that being said, I just want to remind all our residents that town meeting is this coming this coming Monday, November 18th at 7 p.m. There are some important articles there, so if registered voters have the opportunity, I would highly recommend that they attend the town meeting.
Okay, Board of Selectmen liaison reports, accounts payable warrant has been signed. 540 Arcade Avenue Building Committee report, everything is done. There'll be a presentation at this, next week's town meeting. That's all that's new, well, it's not new, but. TV9 liaison report,
So we'll have some more further conversation in executive session today, but I will just say some progress was made. Looking forward to having those conversations with the board, so.
Bristol County Advisory Board,
No updates.
Madera's Farm Committee report.
Okay, Madera's Farm, there was a meeting scheduled last week, but that was canceled. The next is the public input session on next week on November 21st at 6:30 at the Seacon Senior Center. You will see three conceptual drawings of Madera's Farm, and we're looking for public input there, so please take a moment and come out and tell us what you think.
How long are you gonna be there? Do you know? Have you decided?
It could be an hour, I don't know, it depends on how many people are there. At the first public input session, there was 100 people there. So, and that went on for an hour plus, so, if there's 10 people that show, then maybe a little bit quicker. If there's 100 people, it'll be a little bit longer.
Okay. Seacon Public Library feasibility study building assessment.
So the Library Board of Trustees had received a draft copy of the report. They had gone back to the architect with some questions. They were trying to get, the architect was trying to get the engineers to answer the questions. There hadn't been any response, so yesterday our library director reached out and to the architect said, she was told that those questions have been resolved and that we should expect the final report by end of this week.
Good. Okay, on the comments, Mr. Sullivan,
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Zora,
I'm good.
See you Monday.
Mrs. Cozy,
All set.
Mr. Healy.
I'm good.
You're good? Good. I'd like to thank, Mr. LaFlame, our Veterans Service Officer for their, Veterans Day ceremony Monday, November 11th, which was last week, which was very nice. They had a rolling parade from, Briarwood Plaza to the memorial over by the library, and then they had some speakers, and it was very nice. It was very nice. It was a beautiful day. I just wish that most people had come out. More people had come out. Also, thank you everybody that had come out and vote. I believe there was a 79% showing in Seacon for voting last week. So that was excellent, excellent, yes. I'd like to notify the residents of Seacon, the Hamilton Diner has partnered with Seacon Human Services to offer home-cooked meals for those in need who meet income and eligibility guidelines. If you are a Seacon resident or someone you know is in need in Seacon, please call the office at Seccong Human Services, 336-8772. You go through Human Services, you can get meals and baskets, if you are income eligible. So if you know somebody, please let them know, so they can apply to get those services. As was mentioned several times tonight, next Monday, this coming Monday, November 18th, is our fall town meeting, 7 o'clock at the high school auditorium. November 25th will be the special election in the high school library. And then on December 7th is the holiday tree lighting here at the town hall between 4 and 8. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Candine. We are pleased to inform you that we have approved your application for the NCPPO, which you need to know is the Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Official designation. Award of this designation demonstrates your commitment to excellence in public procurement. You are among an elite group of public sector professionals to earn a OIG Academy Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Official designation. This designation is valid for 3 years. And hopefully you have a certificate that's a little better than this one. I kind of got a copy of this one. And I'd like to congratulate you. Thank you this is excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you can, give us all your knowledge in purchasing and save this town money and
More building projects.
I wasn't thinking of building projects, I was thinking in buying things that it would hopefully be for. You're funny. I would also like to remind people, December 4th and December 18th will be our next, select board meetings, and then January 8th, after the new year. And that's all I have. I like to, what time is it? Hold on. 7:32. I need to take a motion at 7:32 to adjourn till our next board meeting, Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, to enter into executive session, to reconvene an open session for potential contract approval, to conduct strategy sessions with respect to negotiations with a confidential administrative assistant to the police department per Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 20A2, as having the discussion in open session would be detrimental to the litigation or bargaining position of the town. B, to conduct strategy sessions with respect to negotiations with the finance director per Mass General Law, Chapter 38, subsection 21A2, as having the discussion in open session would be detrimental to the litigation or bargaining position of the town. C, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, 21A3, regarding town of Seccong by and through its Board of Selectmen versus Seccong Cable Access Inc., as discussion in open session will have a detrimental effect on the town's litigation position, and the chair so declares. And D, consider the approval of executive session minutes from October 16th, 2024.
So moved, Michael Healy.
Second, Justin Sullivan.
Michael Healy, aye.
And Posey, aye.
Justin Sullivan, aye.
Chris Zora,
Michelle Hines, aye. Unanimous. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you, Strauss.